How many test users should you aim to have for your very first launch? This is one of the most common questions we get because it's hard to figure out when you have enough test users and also when you have too many because there is a sweet spot. Now, the first way to look at this is that it really does depend. So, what type of app are you building? If you are building a more generalized, lower price point, consumer focused app that is going to rely on a higher volume of users, then you're naturally going to want a higher volume of test users. If you are building a very specific niche app that is going to probably have a higher price point and a lower user volume, well, you're probably not going to need that higher volume of test users. So first, figure out where on that spectrum you fall. But then you need to consider the most important factor of all, and that is you want to be looking for trends in the test user feedback you will be getting. So when you have test users go through your app and you have conversations with them, or they send in feedback maybe via surveys, however you're going to be doing it, you don't actually want to act on every single piece of individual feedback you get. If you ask someone for feedback, they're going to give you their opinion. And if you try to act on every single one of those, then you're going to be running in 10, 20, 50 different directions all at once. It's not sustainable. So instead, you want to look for trends in feedback. That way you can prioritize the feedback because it's important to get all the feedback you can, but not all feedback is going to be important to implement right away or potentially ever, depending on the direction in which you go. Now, the reason why I point this out is because you need enough test users on board your app to pull out trends in feedback. So if you only have 3 test users, 5 test users, you're going to have a hard time finding trends. Once you get up to 10 test users, 20 test users, then you're going to start to be able to pick out trends. Now, again, depending on the type of app you're building, that 10, 20 number, that might seem really small and might seem really high. So remember, it depends on the type of app you're building. The biggest thing is to make sure you have enough users to pull out those trends. Now, the second thing you want to consider is your own capacity. You're going to be doing a lot of manual work when you're going through user testing. You're going to be having conversations with users. You're going to be intaking that feedback, sifting through it, organizing it, prioritizing it, probably making fixes to your app along the way, and that does take a lot of time. What is your own capacity? Don't bring on so many test users that you can't actually give them the time that they deserve and the time that you need to get the right feedback from them. Now, again, this depends on your own situation, but consider one, making sure you have enough to find those trends, and two, making sure you don't have too many to where your capacity becomes too thin to actually go through user testing, giving it the time it deserves.